dive in.
Let's do it.
So remember that game against Brentford where, Manchester United just looked completely lost?
Oh.
Yeah. That's kind of where we're going to start this whole deep dive.
Yeah.
We're talking about a club that's, really in need of a turnaround right now.
For sure.
14th place in the Premier League. You don't see a giant like Man U down there very often.
Yeah, at all.
And, it's a real head-scratcher. It's led to some, pretty major changes in the coaching staff.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a high-wire act to watch, really. The club made the very bold decision to bring in a new manager, Rúben Amorim, mid-season.
Wow.
And then you've got this well-liked interim manager, Ruud van Nistelrooy, who is actually starting to get the players back on track.
Right.
So it's like, what happens next? This is where things get interesting.
Okay, so let's rewind a bit and talk about Erik ten Hag leaving. So he just signed a contract extension in the summer. So his exit, this wasn't exactly, what people were expecting.
Right.
But the team was really underperforming, and something had to change, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, when you're at a club like Manchester United, especially managing, the expectations are through the roof. There's a ton of pressure to win. And, if the results just aren't there, it's often the manager who takes the fall.
Right. So that's when Ruud van Nistelrooy steps in.
Yeah.
And not just any interim manager. We're talking about a former Manchester United star here.
Absolutely.
He was already on the coaching staff and kind of slid right into that leadership role.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. He wasn't just keeping the seat warm.
No.
Van Nistelrooy actually started making a real impact and quickly earned the nickname the Connector.
Yeah, and I think that nickname really speaks volumes about why he was so effective in that position, This was a team struggling with morale. They didn't really have direction. And he came in and just really focused on clear communication with the players, just kind of fostering that sense of unity and purpose that had been missing, almost like he re-energized the entire squad.
Yeah, so it wasn't just nostalgia or like that feel-good factor of having a former star back.
Right, exactly.
And Nistelrooy actually has some solid coaching experience under his belt, too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, before joining Manchester United, he was at PSV Eindhoven, where he won the Dutch Cup and the Super Cup. So this guy, he had real tactical know-how.
Yeah, this is crucial to understand. He wasn't just a familiar face, right? He brought actual managerial experience, a proven track record. It just added a layer of legitimacy to him, something that went beyond just being a fan favorite.
So just as it seemed like Van Nistelrooy was steadying the ship, Manchester United makes the move and brings in Rúben Amorim as the permanent manager. What was behind this bold move?
So Amorim, he was really turning heads over at Sporting CP with his dynamic, very modern style of play. He really favors that 3-4-3 formation. It's all about that high-pressing, quick transitions, attacking football.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what Manchester United seemed to be lacking, to be honest. They really needed some sort of spark. And Amorim, with his, impressive record, he looked like he could be the guy to ignite it.
Hold on, though. There's a bit of a twist here.
Oh.
Amorim's bringing his entire coaching staff with him from Portugal.
Okay, yeah.
So where does that leave Van Nistelrooy and, all the stability he'd brought?
Oh, that's the big question. And it creates a really fascinating dilemma for Man U. Do they try to keep Van Nistelrooy, potentially creating this coaching dream team? Or do they let him go, maybe risking some disruption, but giving Amorim complete control?
And to make things even more interesting, the players have publicly come out and voiced their support for Van Nistelrooy.
Yeah.
So it's clear they were responding well to him and starting to buy into his vision.
Right. And that adds, I guess, another layer of complexity to all of this. So on one hand, you've got the new manager with new ideas, his proven system. But then on the other hand, you've got a coach who has built this strong connection with the players and brought some stability to what's been a really turbulent time. It's a tough call. And it's going to have, repercussions either way.
Yeah.
For sure.
So it's kind of like Manchester United is stuck between two different worlds right now.
Yeah.
You've got, the excitement of a fresh start with Amorim, but also the worry of messing up what seemed to be working with Van Nistelrooy.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on this whole situation?
Well, it really shows you how You know how tricky that balance is between making tactical changes and that team chemistry? It's not just about formations and strategies and all that. It's about how those players react to different styles of leadership, and how those relationships affect how they play on the pitch.
Yeah, that's a good point. It seems like Van Nistelrooy really got that human side of things.
Yeah.
He wasn't just dealing with a team that was struggling, right? He was dealing with a group of players who had lost their confidence and didn't know what direction they were going in.
Exactly. Think about it. These are world-class athletes playing for one of the biggest clubs in the world. The pressure they're under is unbelievable. And when things are going bad, it can be really, really demoralizing. And Van Nistelrooy just came in and made it an environment where players felt heard, felt valued, felt empowered. And that can completely change how a team performs.
So his time as manager was short.
Yeah.
But it wasn't without some tough moments. It wasn't all perfect.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. There were some bumps along the way. Like if you look back at that Europa League match against PSA, you could see the team was still vulnerable, especially on defense. They had those flashes of brilliance, but then they weren't consistent, and that's what cost them the game in the end.
It's almost like that game showed everyone just how much work still needed to be done.
Yeah.
Even with, even with Van Nistelrooy's good influence, there were still some cracks. And turning around a team that's in crisis mode takes time. And he just didn't have enough of it.
Yeah, I agree.
And that brings us to that, that big question.
Yeah.
Was it the right choice to bring in Amorim before the season ended, essentially cutting Van Nistelrooy's time short?
That's the question, isn't it? It's what everyone's talking about. You've got this new manager who's ready to go, wants to put his vision into action, right? But you've also got a team that was starting to find its rhythm, starting to feel confident again under Van Nistelrooy.
And, and we can't forget that Amorim is bringing his own coaching staff, too.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So this could mean, a total overhaul of how things are done now, which could make things even more unstable for the players. It's like, I don't know, like changing the tires on a car while it's still driving.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Is Manchester United just hitting that reset button again? Another chapter in this, this ongoing story of instability.
It could be. But it all depends on how they handle this change. It's a high-stakes game, and every move matters.
So what would a good transition look like in this situation? What's the best that could happen?
Well, I think it starts with recognizing and appreciating what Van Nistelrooy has done. Even if he's not part of the long-term plan, what he did shouldn't be ignored, right? He steadied things and got the players to trust him. That's valuable.
So maybe finding a spot for him within this new structure, maybe not as the head coach, but in a position where he can still contribute.
Exactly. I think that would be a really smart move. It would let Amorim come in, do his thing, put his vision into practice, but it would also keep things consistent for the players. It would show them that the club respects Van Nistelrooy and sees him as an important part of the team.
But couldn't that also lead to, a bit of a power struggle? Two strong personalities, each with their own ideas for the team, working together.
There's definitely a risk of that. But if the leadership at the top is strong, it can be managed. It's all about setting clear expectations, knowing who's doing what, and just having open communication and collaboration. It's easier said than done, but it's crucial.
It's a delicate balancing act, isn't it?
For sure.
Bringing in new ideas, but keeping the stability they work so hard for.
Yeah, it's like walking a tightrope.
Yeah, exactly.
And whether this whole transition works or not will depend on how well Manchester United navigates that tightrope. It's a complicated situation.
Yeah.
But those are the kind of challenges that make football so interesting.
I like how these deep dives go deeper than just what we see on the surface. You know, it's not just about who scores the goals. It's about the human stories, the decisions, the drama that happens behind the scenes.
Sometimes the most interesting stories are the ones that are still being written,
Right.
And this Manchester United story, it's far from over.
Speaking of interesting stories, let's not forget that Manchester United still has a really talented team.
Absolutely.
Even with all this change going on, they have the potential to turn things around.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They've got players like Marcus Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, Casemiro, world-class players. The potential is there.
And that's where Amorim comes in.
Right.
His track record shows he's the kind of manager who can get the best out of his players. He's known for being creative in attack, being flexible with tactics, and building that strong team spirit. It's like he's been given all these amazing tools, and now we get to see what he built.
It makes you wonder how their style of play will change, Under Ten Hag, they were more, practical, focused on possession. But Amorim, he's all about that high-energy, attacking style.
So that's a pretty big change in how they approach the game.
Oh, yeah.
Can the players adapt to that?
That's the big question. It'll take some adjusting for sure. But if they buy into Amorim's vision and his methods, we could see a totally different Manchester United in the second half of the season. A team that's more fun to watch, more direct, more effective at scoring goals.
But no matter what tactics they use, no matter who's on the team, this is still Manchester United.
Yeah.
They have this expectation to win, this history of success that can't be ignored.
You're right. That pressure to win trophies is huge. It drives every decision they make, every practice, every game. It's just part of who they are.
So will Amorim be the one to bring back Manchester United's glory days, or will this be another disappointment?
We'll have to wait and see. But it's going to be exciting to watch.
We've got a new manager with big ideas, a talented team that wants to prove themselves, and fans who are desperate for a win. It's all there for a season that's unpredictable and maybe even a little explosive.
What I find interesting is how Amorim will handle all the attention that comes with managing Manchester United. The media is always watching, and the fans expect a lot. Not every manager can do well on that kind of pressure cooker.
Yeah, that's a whole other part of the job, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about tactics and practice. It's about managing personalities, dealing with the press, and being in the spotlight all the time.
And we can't forget about the politics within the club. There's always something going on behind the scenes at a place like Manchester United, and Amorim will need to be smart to handle that.
We've talked a lot about the pros and cons of bringing in a new manager in the middle of the season, but I keep thinking about when Ten Hag left.
Yeah.
Was it really the right time to let him go?
That's a question people will probably debate for years.
Right.
It's easy to say what should have been done after it already happened, right? At the time, the team was doing badly and the pressure was on. Something had to change.
But maybe it was too soon. Maybe if they'd given him a few more months, things would be different.
It's hard to say for sure, but when you see how quickly Van Nistelrooy made a positive impact, it does make you wonder if they were too quick to sack Ten Hag.
It's almost like they panicked.
Maybe. But that's how it is in football at this level. Decisions are made under a lot of pressure, and there's never a perfect answer.
So we end up with more questions than answers.
Yeah.
Which I guess is what keeps us coming back for more.
It's all this complexity, all the personalities, the ambitions, the strategies that makes this so interesting. We don't know what's going to happen, and that's exciting.
So we've got a new manager with a bold vision, a talented team that needs direction, and a club that really wants to win. It's Manchester United, and the stakes are always high. You know, as we're wrapping up this deep dive into Manchester United's managerial situation, I'm still thinking about Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Yeah.
Feels like he could still do a lot for this club.
He really could. He brought this unique energy to the team, the sense of being united, having a purpose, which they were definitely missing before. And the players responded well to his leadership. There's no question about that.
So if you're Manchester United, what's the best move here? How do they make the most of this situation?
I think the best thing to do would be to find a way to bring Van Nistelrooy into Amorim's coaching staff, take advantage of that strong connection he has with the players, his understanding of the club, his tactical knowledge.
Yeah.
It's a chance to build a truly great coaching team.
But that would take a lot of humility from both Amorim and Van Nistelrooy, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Two strong personalities working together.
Yeah.
Egos have to be put aside.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about putting the team first and recognizing that everyone has something to offer. If they can combine their strengths, work together, imagine what they could achieve.
Manchester United fans are really hoping for something special,
Yeah.
They've been through so much instability and disappointment lately. This could be a turning point for them.
It could be. But there are still a lot of things we don't know, right? Can Amorim adapt to the Premier League? Can he handle the pressure of managing a club this big? Will the players really embrace what he wants to do? And what about Van Nistelrooy? Will he be okay with a different role? Or will he want to go somewhere else to be the head coach?
It's like we're all just waiting to see what happens next.
That's what makes it so interesting. We've got a club with so much history, a team full of talent, a new manager who wants to prove himself, and passionate fans who are desperate for success. It's all set up for a dramatic and unpredictable season.
So for our listeners out there, why does all this drama at Manchester United matter? What's the takeaway here?
I think this story is bigger than just one football club, It's about leadership, dealing with change, ambition, and that constant push for excellence. We can learn from this about how to handle pressure, how to navigate relationships, and how to work towards our goals.
Yeah, you're right. Sports, at their best, show us something about the complexities of life.
Exactly. And as we've seen with Manchester United, life can be pretty unpredictable.
For sure.
But it's those moments of uncertainty, those times when we have to make tough choices, that make the most interesting stories.
So that's it. That's our deep dive into Manchester United's managerial merry-go-round. We've talked about the challenges, the potential problems, and those little glimmers of hope. Now it's up to you to decide, will this be a fresh start for the club? A chance for them to be reborn and come back stronger? Or is it just another chapter in a story of unfulfilled potential?
Only time will tell, but one thing's for certain. We'll be watching closely because this story is far from over.
And who knows, maybe in a few months we'll be back here talking about the next chapter in this Manchester United saga. But until then, keep your eyes on Old Trafford because things are about to get really interesting.